Good sign. Thank you, sir, for the thumb. Okay, I think we're prepared to start. Good afternoon, everyone. We will now formally open this meeting, the LODI Board Review for today, Tuesday, January the 14th, 2025. As I stated earlier, this is the first hearing that we're holding in our new hybrid system. So there may be a few hiccups as we go forward today, but we appreciate your presence and we ask for your indulgence as we move through this. We're not hoping, we will plan that every person's case will be heard and everyone will get a fair hearing. What the procedure we will follow is this is the formal hearing process, so only one person speaks at a time. This is a formal hearing that you're in court, essentially, for your matter to be adjudicated. So we ask gentlemen to move the headgear. If you're online, we ask you to do the same thing. Everyone who testifies will be sworn. And there will be an attorney representing the city for each case. And there may be an occasion the appellant may also have an attorney representing their interests. I believe that's how we will also hear from the city law department. They will give us a list of all matters that have been resolved and any particular requests for continuance, et cetera. That's how we proceed. The board itself will introduce itself, and after that, we will get started. Again, I'm Kenneth Woodson, board chair.
I'm Ralph Pincus, board member, and we have a fairly long list today. So we start at 12:30, but your case could be a while before we get to it.
I'm Steve Pettit, board member.
Roger S. Tennant, senior board member.
Beverly Penn, board member.
Ryan McSherry, board counsel.
Okay,
Philip Mata, boards administration.
thank you very much. Okay, who do we hear from the city? I think you'll need to unmute Amy Skiles is raising her hand, so I'm asking the IT support to unmute her.
I'm not from the city, but I do have a question. I know that you mentioned that.
No questions. No questions from anyone other than the city law department at this point. So just ask you to be patient.
Good afternoon, Amy Skiles, on behalf of the law department.
Thank you. Ms. Skiles, before you get started though, we were a little bit surprised because we were anticipating all the attorneys for the city would be present in the hearing room today, and I'm understanding why that isn't happening.
I think there may have just been a little bit of confusion on our end of what was expected. I apologize. I can't speak for everyone, but I think we were a little confused as to what was expected of us today.
Okay.
My supervisor, Mary Costello, is here. She could speak to that a little further.
Okay, is she present?
Yes.
May I ask her to identify herself, please? We'll need to make sure her mic is unmuted.
Good afternoon. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
So we were never informed that we should be appearing in person. We never received any notices of hearing in person. So I'm not
Okay.
sure if moving forward, the board wants to provide notices to inform everyone to appear in person. But as far as my understanding moving forward is the hearings are hybrid. So whether someone appears in person or
Okay.
remotely.
Well, I'll share with you from the perspective of the board is that we would prefer the attorneys representing the city to be present. It makes it easier for communication in terms of access to documents, et cetera. So going forward, again, unless there's a particular reason why the city attorneys can't be present, we'd appreciate if they all would be present. The appellants, of course, are given the option to attend either in present or as hybrid. So that's sort of the concern. So just want to put that on the record that we would anticipate seeing everyone present at our next hearing on Thursday, unless there's something else that's would prevent that from happening. Will you, I assume then that your witnesses will all be, well, none of them will be present today?
None of our witnesses will be present, and I do not believe they would be able to be present on Thursday either. That's not something that we can do with 1 day notice.
Okay. We'll need to work that out. Okay, if there's nothing else, then I'll hear from the city on all its matters that have been resolved. Ms. Skiles?
Great, thank you. Amy Skiles on behalf of the city. I will begin with number 2, HA 2023-004782 at 2948 Cambridge Street. The appellant is Arlene Ashton. This is a continuance request. I received a request from Mr. Michael Mattioni this morning that he was recently retained, and he is unavailable to make it today. The city has no objection to that continuance request.
Okay, I believe this is the second listing for that matter, so
It
we're going
is.
to continue it, but add a must be heard requirement.
Okay, I will clarify, it was the city's request at the first listing for witness unavailability, but we
Okay.
will note it as
So
must be
noted.
heard.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 6, HA 2023-004927 at 2904 Westmont Street. Mr. Slava Stepanov, that is moot complied.
Thank you.
Number 8, HA 2023-005002 at 1845 Hart Ramped Street, Packer Park 3. That is moot complied.
Thank you.
Number 10, HA 2024-000414 at 7021 North Broad Street, Virginia Langley. That is a continuance request by agreement of both parties. The appellant did provide us some information that may be able to render this moot complied. We just
Thank
need
you.
we need a date to confirm that.
Okay, we'll note it as continued.
Number 11, HA 11 HA 2024-00416 427 East Cambria Street. That's Ubelkees Soto doing business as Soto Mini Market. That's moot complied.
Thank you.
Number 12, HA 2024-000421 at 5938 Alma Street. The appellant is Oz Abdelaziz. That is moot.
Moot, okay.
Number 14, HA 2024-000470 at 6332 Allgard Street. Paulette Mikan doing business as Stephanie Mikan. That is moot complied. Number 15, HA 2024-000476 at 140 North Christopher Columbus Boulevard. Amy Kurzban doing business as Fringe Arts. That's moot complied.
Moot complied, thank you.
Number 16, HA 2024-000479 at 147 Brown Street, the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation. That matter is moot.
Thank you.
Number 17, HA 2024-000527 at 6204 Oxford Avenue, Extra Space Storage Management, Inc. We've come to an agreement for a city affirm with a 150-day stay.
150-day stay? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Number 18, HA 2024-000535 at 5611 Apple Tree Street. The appellant is Paparone Enterprises. That matter is moot.
Thank you.
Number 19, HA 2024-000539 at 1401 to 49 North Broad Street, The appellant is Jeffrey Klein. That matter is moot.
Thank you.
Moving on to number 22, HA 2024-000-573 at 8500 Lindbergh Boulevard, apartment 143. Appellant is Eastwick Joint Venture. This is a city affirm with a 120-day stay of enforcement.
120-day stay. Also, I think that's 1413 apartment.
Yes, I apologize. 1413.
Okay, thank you.
Number 23, HA 2024-000-574, 8500 Lindbergh Boulevard, apartment 1414. The appellant is Eastwick Joint Venture. That matter is moot complied.
Thank you.
Number 24, HA 2024-000-576, 8500 Lindbergh Boulevard, apartment 1416, Eastwick Joint Venture. That matter is moot complied.
Okay.
Number 25, HA 2024-000-577, 8500 Lindbergh Boulevard, apartment 1415, Eastwick Joint Venture. That matter is moot complied.
Thank you.
Number 27, HA 2024-000-583 at 8228 Buist Ave. The appellant is Lynn Lamb Huey. That matter is moot. Number 28, HA 2024-000-585 at 6316 North 10th Street. The appellant is Kevin Smith. That matter is moot.
Thank you.
Number, I have 32, HA 2024-000-608 at 6157 Van Dyke Street. The appellant is Joseph Smith. That matter is moot. Number 36, HA 2024-000-4697 at 1220 Catherine Street. The appellant is Donna DeStefano for Bart Patel. That is a city affirm with a $150 fine.
115.
$150
Okay.
fine.
150. Okay, thank you.
And I do have another one I missed on my list, number 30, HA 2024-000-599 at 1840 East Wishart Street. The appellant is Anzella Pucci and Mahmoudi Dij Pucci. That matter is, apologies, that is moot complied.
Move complied? All right, thank you.
Yes. And that resolves my my list. I believe a colleague may have a few more updates.
Okay, as we routinely do, we will ask anyone else who have some preliminary matters to be resolved. Please use the raise hand sign, and we will acknowledge you and ask that you share with the board. Mr. Leonard Rauder?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. So I have a couple of matters just to inform the board about. The first one is number 35 on the list, appeal number HA 2024-002258, 6901 Woodland Avenue. We have advised the board via email a couple days ago that we reached an agreement with their counsel, Meredith Ferliger, that the matter can be marked city affirmed with a 90-day stay of enforcement.
Thank you. 90-day stay. Okay, thank you.
I have, there's another one that we have had some discussions with the board about number 31, HA 2024-000607. The address for the appeal that's on the list is 6141 West Oxford Street, and the appellant Andrew Titer, Tygchter. However, the appeal documents themselves that were part of the appeal that was listed for today, and including it matches the document that is on the city's Eclipse file. There appears to be an error. That appeal is for a completely different address. And that involved a matter that was actually already heard by the board back in, I think, February, and was resolved. We're not sure whether there even was an appeal filed for 6141 West Oxford Street, so I had recommended or request that this matter be continued until, we can figure out whether there is an appeal for 6141 West Oxford Street, and if there is, where it is, because we don't have any of the
Okay.
appeal paperwork.
Well, we do have an appellant in the room who raised his hand when that address was read off. So what we will do is in a few moments, we'll hear from him as to the nature of the appeal, but based on your information, no one has been assigned to represent the city today. Is that correct, Mr.
Well,
Wood?
no, I was. The problem is the appeal paperwork that was included and that the board has is for an entirely separate address.
Okay.
Let me just, if you don't mind, and we had discussed this with the board over the past couple days. So I think the matter has to be continued because, at least for the city's part, for my part, we don't have any of the appeal documents. We're not even sure what they're appealing because the actual appeal paperwork that was provided and that is included in Eclipse is for an entirely different, it was just some sort of,
Okay,
somehow
let's do
the
this then.
paperwork got confused.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's call the appellant forward, sir. If you come up and have a seat, please, and give us your name, and we'll need to have you sworn.
Andrew Titer.
Andrew Tyler, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth to help you God?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tyler, the attorney representing the city, as you've heard, doesn't have the paperwork. So they're making a formal request to continue your case. But I just want to hear from you, what's the nature of the appeal and the violation?
I think there was 3 violations at my property location. Water in the basement, which they said it was a pipe was busted, which it wasn't. It was just from the excessive rain we had.
Okay, so this is an occupied building? You live at that address?
No, I don't live there.
Okay, is there anyone else's name on the deed other than yours,
No.
in addition to yours?
Yeah.
You
My
don't,
kids live there.
okay, but your name is the only name on the deed?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And so unfortunately, what we're seeing here is that that appeal number doesn't match your address. And so in order for the records to be adequate, and also for the lawyers who represent the city and hearing the appeal and responding to it, we're going to have to continue it. I know that's an inconvenience to you, so we apologize to you for that. But unfortunately, we can't go forward today. Now, going into when it's relisted, you can choose not to be here in person. You can do it online if you prefer not to come in person. That would be your option. So for the record today, this matter will be continued.
Excuse me.
For 20, yes, sir.
Chairperson. I just wanted to note for the record that the appeal document submitted, there's the board license inspection review appeal application. The only other document attached appears to be page 2 of a violation notice in order to correct, which I think might be the issue. It's unclear what is actually being appealed. The L&I file number on the violation notice in order to correct that was attached is CF-2024-003488.
Okay.
But there's no the first page, which actually lists the responsible party is not attached. We don't have any other documentation.
Okay, so the administrator will need to work with the appellant and the city law department to resolve that, so we can match it all up correctly. Okay, so sir, your matter is being continued for today. Okay, thank you very much. You may remain if you like to hear the other cases or enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
All right, see you.
Okay.
Thank you. I have, this is Leonard Reuter again. I have
Yes.
a couple other things. So number 5, HA 2023-004911 for 1118R to 32 Sully Avenue. Jose Rodriguez, I believe Mr. Rodriguez is here virtually. This particular violation has been complied. It's now listed as moot complied, but I wanted to put this on the record separately. And it's good that Mr. Rodriguez is here because what apparently happened is that the vehicles that were parked at this address, 1118R to 32 Sully, were put on a separate lot. That has now created a new violation. It's not this case, but I want Mr. Rodriguez to know that he can't park those vehicles on the other lot either. They have to be moved. New violations have been written for that. But this particular appeal is moot because the vehicles are no longer on this address. But we're just giving him fair warning that he's got a new violation now.
Okay. And Mr. Rodriguez, unmute your microphone, please. I'm not sure if he's having any success. We may need to provide some help with that.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
there
now
it
it's working. I
Yeah,
do
sir.
understand that, and I did remove the vehicles off that other lot already.
Okay.
My attorney did tell me to do so. There's only like a one container there, but I don't see it to be issues, but I am resolving that as well.
Okay. All right. So this
Thank you.
particular appeal is closed. It's
Okay.
resolved.
We
Perfect.
noted that appeal is moot. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good one.
Thank you. Lastly, members of the board, I'll name both of them because they're closely related. Number 3 and number 4, that's HA 2023-004832 and HA 2023-004881, both for 816 Chestnut Street. Mr. Joseph Lieberman et al. Are is the appellant or owners. Their attorney, who is appearing virtually, Mr. Adam Nakmani, is requesting a continuance. He's indicated to me that the tenant that they are alleging is responsible for the violations is in the process of being evicted, and they want more time to complete that. The city doesn't object. We would ask that, I think it has been continued a couple times, we'd ask that it be marked must be tried, but we do want to give enough time for them to resolve the tenant eviction.
Okay, is Mr. Nakmani present?
I believe he is.
Sir, if you are, would you make yourself known to us? Put your name on the record, please.
Well,
Hi,
we
Adam
don't-
Nakmani on behalf of the appellant.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So is this your request for continuance?
This is my request for continuance. We have a landlord-tenant hearing to evict the tenant who's responsible on January 30th. So we're asking for a late February date to complete the lockout. It's
Okay.
also my understanding that many of the violations have been resolved, but we haven't been able to get in to re-inspect and that the tenant is not currently opening. So,
Okay, we will note it though as must be tried so that we can get this, if in fact it has not been resolved, we'll need to hear it next time. All
understood.
right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
You too. Bye.
Okay.
And lastly, this number 7, HA 2023-004951, 2051 North 9th Street. We're ready to go forward on this, but we have not received any response to emails in the past from the appellant, Ms. Nguyen, and we were particularly, we needed to know whether she needed an interpreter for today's hearing, and we didn't receive a response.
Okay, what we will do is after we've gotten through these preliminary matters, we will call it in regular order and address it then.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Oh, okay, Mr. Jeffrey Cohen.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I have for number 37, this is Appeal HA 2023-005156 I have an agreement to present to the board. I believe I saw Michael McElhaney, counsel for the appellant here. He may need to request to be unmuted.
Okay. Uh, let's do this. Has he
There we
been
go.
unmuted?
Success. Good afternoon.
Okay,
Excellent.
okay. All righty, Ms. Cohen?
The parties would present a resolution of city affirmed with a 60-day stay of enforcement for the board's consideration. I did think at 12:36 email the board a copy of the city's written agreement, but I understand this was 6 minutes into the beginning of this session.
Okay. Mr. McElhaney, I just want you to, on the record, confirm that?
Yes, we are counsel for the appellant and we are in agreement and have signed that agreement to resolve the pending appeal.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, one thing I neglected to say to everyone, those of you who are attending virtually, as well as anyone in the room, please pay close attention to the addresses that are called. If it's your address and or your name and it's noted as moot or moot complied, that means it's resolved for today. You may go on about your day. This matter is resolved. If you need information as to what moot or moot complied means, either call the administrator and someone there can give you information as to the definitions. If you're in the room today and you need that information, someone in the rear of the room is an administrator who can talk to you about it. But please don't break into the hearing to ask questions about those definitions. Thank you. Okay. Maria Nguyen, are you an attorney with the city? She's nodding her head, yes. So yes. Ma'am?
Okay, sorry, I was muted. I wanted to talk about in response to needing an interpreter for HA 202.
Oh, wait. I think there may be a little bit of a problem. Are you an attorney for the city of Philadelphia?
Oh, sorry, I am not, but my case was previously called.
Oh, okay,
but
so
I was
I'm
muted.
only hearing from attorneys from the city of Philadelphia at the moment. We will come back to you, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, notice it, yeah. Anyone else from the city of Philadelphia Law Department that has a preliminary matter we need to resolve? Okay. All righty. Now, let's go back to number 7, HA 2023-004951, Maria Nguyen. Who's representing the city in that matter? I think this is Mr. Roder. Is that
Yes.
yours?
Yes, thank you. I
Ms.
see.
Nguyen is present. And what was the issue?
Well, we didn't receive a response to our inquiry as to whether or not she needed an interpreter. Sounds like she doesn't, but yeah, we're ready to proceed in the case. Is this actually the first on the list? We can just go forward.
No, it isn't the first on the list, so we'll come back to you. But Ms. Nguyen, are you prepared to proceed with the hearing today?
Yes,
Okay, all right, we'll call you in regular order. Okay,
thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you very much. Okay. If there are no additional preliminary matters, we will then call each matter as noted on the list of cases for today. I think, Mr. Moto, if you would read the first matter in.
This is case number 1, hearing appeal ending 4064-1016 West Arizona Street. Emma Jean Holmes Leggett is the appellant.
Okay, Mr. Moto, I don't know if your microphone is on or not.
Is on.
Is it on? Okay, all right, just want to make sure everyone can hear you. Okay, Miss Emma Jean Holmes Leggett, are you present? Where?
She's pictured somewhere. Go to the next screen.
Okay, Miss Emma Jean Holmes Leggett, if you're with us, please make yourself known so that you may be sworn.
I do see her on the call, and I know
Oh, it is, yeah.
the Zoom wasn't allowing me to unmute myself, so maybe if
Okay, we'll ask IT to unmute that microphone.
Hi, so I'm Imagine.
Yes, you're Your name, ma'am, again?
Yes, Imagine Homes Leggett.
Imagine Holmes Leggett. My apologies. Okay, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn?
Yes,
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
yes,
Okay, thank you. You can place your hand down. Ma'am, as a preliminary matter, are you the owner of 1016 West Arizona Street?
yes.
Anyone else's name on that deed with you?
No.
Okay, thank you. Who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, Amy Skiles on behalf of the city of Philadelphia.
Okay, Ms. Skiles, do you have any witnesses today?
I would like to raise as a preliminary matter the timeliness of the appeal.
Okay,
The NOV in this matter was issued on July 26th, 2023, and the appeal was not filed until September 27th, 2023. That is about a month after the deadline for the appeal.
okay. Ms. Holmes Leggett, you're untimely. Why are you untimely?
Well, so I had just been made aware about the license and inspections because I hadn't received any notice. So I didn't know anything that was going on. The occupant at the time, she was an unlawful occupant. I wasn't made aware of as soon as I was made aware of the license inspections violations, that's when I asked to have it appealed.
Okay, wait a minute, just so that we're clear. The property in question is not your residence,
No, that is it's I'm the owner. That's my
but do you live there?
well, so no, as of right now, no, I do not live there. And because I actually I couldn't have access to the home because
Okay, ma'am, it's pretty simple. Do you live there or not? Yes or no?
the occupant had a PFA on me. She had gotten a PFA on me, so I was not allowed any access to the home whatsoever.
Okay. And how long was that PFA in place?
It's still in place.
When did it start?
Dating back to August of 2023.
And is that your mailing address?
So yes, that at the time that was one of my mailing addresses. From my understanding, that's where the violations may have went.
Well, that's why I was asking if that's your mailing address.
No, as of right now, that's not my mailing address because
But
I
was
can't.
it your mailing address in 2023?
Yes, it was a mailing address.
Was it your mailing address in 2023?
That was one of my mailing addresses.
May I respond briefly? I may be able to shed some clarification on this, Chairman.
Yes, ma'am, would you?
If I may be permitted to share my screen briefly
Yes.
as well. Okay. And then let me know when you can see this screen that I'm sharing.
Okay, not yet. Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
we'll need
so
you to
it-
amplify it a bit though.
Make it bigger.
Yes.
Don't know if I can. Okay, does
Okay,
that help?
yes.
Okay, so the city's response would be that I understand that there is an occupant in the property that is not allowing Ms. Holmes access. However, the notice of violation was not sent to the subject premises at issue today. The notice of violation was sent to 1744 Mohican Street. I did pull the Office of Property Records printout. That is the listed mailing address for this property. The property before the board today is 1016 West Arizona. The mailing address for that property is 1744 Mohican Street. I then confirmed that Ms. Holmes Leggett does own 1744 Mohican Street, and the mailing address for 1744 Mohican Street is that property, 1744 Mohican Street. So it's the city's position that regardless of whether Ms. Holmes Leggett had access to the property, notice was sent to her at the mailing address recorded for this property. And she should have received it at that address and appealed in a timely fashion.
Thank you. Ms. Holmes, do you have any response to that?
No, I can confirm that I hadn't received it, which is why I put the appeal in, and the appeal was accepted.
The appeal application was accepted. The problem you have is that you're 60 days late. You have a 30-day window to file your appeal. And so you're untimely, and the decision of the board is that this matter is going to be determined to be moot for failure to prosecute. You didn't file a timely appeal.
I think, I
No.
believe the board should take a vote on essentially nunc-pro-tunc relief in this matter.
Oh, okay. I've been advised by legal counsel that, Ms. Skiles, we will need to determine if this is a non-pro-tunc hearing of sorts. So now what that means is it allows, essentially, Ms. Holmes, my legal counsel has advised me that we need to consider this matter and vote on it individually and to determine whether or not you will be allowed to submit a late appeal. Understood?
I mean, I haven't had any access to the home, so.
That is the issue. The issue is whether or not you submitted your appeal paperwork on time. That's the issue.
I was in that, so I did send the paperwork. I was in the hospital because I was assaulted in May in 2023. So I was in the hospital. I was shot and I was stabbed. I did submit in that paperwork. So once
Okay.
I was out of the hospital and I was made aware of
Okay.
and once I was made aware of the violations, I put in the appeal. But I am still injured for my injuries. I've also sent in like my injuries and the
Okay.
hospital
Well,
paperwork.
okay, wait a minute. What we're attempting to do is to hear your argument as to why you submitted a late appeal. And I think
Right.
we're hearing that now, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, so
and
I was
so-
just, letting it be known exactly when I was made aware, as soon as I was made aware of the violations, because I
Now-
was
now
in the
to ma-
hospital also. So when I was made
Okay.
aware of the violations was when I had put in for the appeal because I
Okay.
didn't have
We do have a
access.
question for you from one of the panelists, one of my board members.
Yes.
Ms. Holmes, you indicated that you were hospitalized in May of 2023. Where did you do your recovery when you were released from the hospital? Did you go to the address at Arizona or did you go to the address at, I believe it's Mohican?
Yeah, so my plan was to recover at 1016 West Arizona Street, but because the occupant had got a PFA on me, then I didn't have access to the home. And
Okay, you are not answering my question, Ms. Holmes. My question was, when you were, I'm sorry, yeah, did you do your recovery at the other address that was noted on your appeal, which I believe was Mohican Street?
so I was assaulted. in
That's a
Mohican.
yes or no actual question. Yes or no? Were
The
you in
incident happened
Mohican
in
Street?
Mohican Street. I wasn't
Okay.
living at, and I wasn't at 1744 Mohican Street either because that's the house I was assaulted in. So this is
Okay.
where the crime happened in. So I
May
didn't.
I ask you, I understand, thank you. May I ask you another question? If you were assaulted in May, when were you released from the hospital?
So I was released from the hospital in May. But when it comes to those two addresses, I didn't have access to 1016 West Arizona Street once the PFA was put out on me. And then I was afraid to be at 1744 Mohican Street. So I wasn't trying to reside there either. So, and then that was in 2023. So yeah.
Right, so the question, at least in my mind, is where were you getting other mail? Were you getting any other mail between July and September of 2023? Where were you residing?
Well, yes. So some of the time I was residing at my mother's house. And that was a whole nother address.
And did you receive any other mail from 1016 West Arizona?
So my mail, it could have went to 1016 West Arizona, but I wouldn't have known because I didn't have access to the home.
Thank you very much.
This is Ralph Pincus. Did you have access to the home on Mohican Street?
So I had access to the home, but being as though I was a victim and that crime happened here, I was out of the home for months after my incident.
No, my question is, after you left the hospital, you said you went to live with your mother. You weren't living at Mohican Street, but did you have access to the property on Mohican Street after you left the hospital?
Yes, I had access.
Thank you.
Any additional questions from the board? Ms. Skiles, you have any further inquiry?
Just briefly, did you did you contact the postal service to set up a forwarding address when you left the property on Mohican Street?
Well, no, I didn't think I needed to. I wasn't, like, when it came to the violations, like, no one called me, the inspector, no one called me, so no one made me aware. So I didn't think I needed to, check for those things.
Okay.
That's if it was sent to the address, because to this day, I had to have someone email me because I called and told them that, like, once I even found out about the violations, I had to call and say, well, that nothing was mailed to me. I needed to get it. It was then emailed, and that was when I put in the appeal, after they emailed it to me.
Okay.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Ms. Holmes, your regular correspondence from your bills and all that stuff, how did you handle that? Did you get that mail?
I get those things electronically to my email.
All of it. So you don't get any written correspondence at all that comes to the United Postal Service?
My bills, my utility bills, I get them through my email. I get most of my things electronically.
And the other stuff, how do you get them?
I set up everything to be like electronic because of the situation. I don't want my mail getting stolen, and I don't want people going into my mailboxes. And like I said, I didn't have access to 1016 Arizona Street, so I hadn't been able to see anything that was going on at home.
Okay. All right, thank you. So at this point, we will poll the board regarding HA 2023-004064, 1016 West Arizona Street. Imanji Holmes Leggett, and this is a vote whether to grant or deny a non-pro-tunc hearing decision.
Relief.
Relief, my apologies. Okay. I will start the vote. My vote is to deny the relief.
My vote is to deny.
My vote is to deny the relief.
Deny the relief.
My vote is to grant the relief.
Okay, the majority vote is to deny. Ms. Holmes Leggett, that means your appeal, your request to have a late hearing has been denied. And because of that, the matter is moot. We will not be hearing your appeal.
Ultimately, it should be entered to the record as dismissed as untimely.
Yes, we will notice dismiss as untimely. Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am. Have a good afternoon. Okay, move on to the next matter.
Hearing appeal, number 7 on today's list, hearing appeal ending 4951 2051.
Excuse me, Mr. Mo, I think the board needs to complete the vote sheet for that one.
No. Deny NPT relief. Excuse me. while we're doing that paper, let's move on to the next matter.
Next matter on the list today is number 7, sir. Hearing appeal ending 4951 for the property 2051 North 9th Street. Maria Nguyen is the appellant and she's present on the Zoom, sir.
Okay, Ms. Nguyen, if you unmute yourself so you may be sworn. I believe Mr. Leonard Rada is representing the city. Mr. Rada, do you have any witnesses today? You'll need to unmute as well.
Thank you. I should have a witness, Inspector Bermudez. However, I don't think we really need it in a witness in this case. The appeal that was filed by the appellant here is based on her claim that she didn't do any of the work that was cited. This is an appeal from a violation for having completed or commenced work and completed it without a permit inspection and without final inspection. Based upon what we've looked at, it does appear that Ms. Nguyen purchased the property, I believe, in July of 2023, and the violation was issued in October for work that had been done on permits that had been issued prior to her purchase. So we're not really, I'm not really disputing the facts that Ms. Nguyen is raising in her appeal. It does appear that the work had preceded her purchase of the property and was completed. However, the department, wasn't aware that the work had been completed until after the purchase took place. So she bought the property, looks like in July, and the violation was issued in October. But it was based upon work that took place under the prior ownership. This is a property that had been purchased at sheriff's sale back in actually pretty recently to that. It looks like the sheriff's sale, I think, was only itself in 2021. So the city, we do, if Inspector Bermudez is here, he might be able to testify about the prior permit. But again, the violation is because the work that was done didn't receive inspection. So it's we're not alleging that the appellant herself either was responsible for the work or commissioned it or anything like that. I did look at the deed, and I can show it to the board if necessary, but the deed doesn't, neither the deed nor the property tax or transfer certificate indicates anything about a title agent. I don't know if a title agent was obtained at the time of the sale. However, again, it would not have, the violation wasn't issued until after the sale took place. The violation was issued in October, so the violation wouldn't have shown up, but I would think that there might have been something that might have appeared regarding permits that were still open because of work that was ongoing at the property. I can also confirm there was a property certificate that was issued back in January of 2023, but that was presumably issued to the prior property owner. That was AEM Investments LLC. Those are the people that the current appellant purchased the property from. And again, as I mentioned, they received their property via sheriff's sale. So,
Mr. Rada, I guess one question to you would be, is there any opportunity for Ms. Nguyen to work with the inspector or staff to come to a resolution of this?
well, I think that, again, the issue isn't that there wasn't a permit at all. It's that there wasn't an inspection. So normally what we would require here is for there to be an inspection. And in the case of something like electrical or plumbing work, we would need a third party. Well, certainly with electrical work, we'd need a third party inspection service to certify that the work was done in accordance with the code. I think what should happen is she should contact, if she has if she had title insurance, contact them. Again, I'm not suggesting that this is something that would be triggered by that, but it's worth looking into, or contact the prior property owner, see if they can determine who the contractor was that did the work, and then hopefully, if an inspection has to take place, it doesn't require opening walls or things like that, but it might, depending on what the scope of the work was.
Okay, well, let's do this. Ms. Nguyen, have you spoken with L&I staff or anyone regarding a resolution to this matter?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Any reason why you haven't?
I'm not sure what you're referring to as speaking with someone, but I did file an appeal and that was the only
Okay, I'm
communication.
saying, yeah, aside from the appeal, when you got the violation notice, the inspector's name and phone number, et cetera, were listed. Did you call that person and say, this is what happened? How do I resolve this? Did you have
No,
that kind of conversation?
I did not.
Why not?
I thought the appeal would suffice.
Okay, it doesn't, but okay. All right, Mr. Ryder, do you, beyond that, do you have anything else you want to put on the record for this?
So I do want to say, and again, is Inspector Bermudez here? I would say that I had tried reaching him and hadn't received a response, so it may be that he's just been out, and I didn't have that information. There's two things we can do. We could continue the matter. I can give Ms. Nguyen my contact information, and I can put her into contact with the inspector to see if there's something to be done about it. I can say that the permit that was obtained by the prior owner it was obtained. This may be part of the reason why it might not have been showing up when she purchased it. It was obtained actually in 2020. So it was one of these things that was just issued pre-eclipse, and right
Okay.
about the time
But,
of
Mr.
the transition to
Ryder,
the eclipse system. So
yeah, Mr. Ryder, what I think we should do then, given what you just said, let's continue this matter to give you and Ms. Nguyen an opportunity to speak with the inspector. Ms. Nguyen, are you willing to follow that route to try to resolve this?
Yes, that would work for me.
okay,
Okay.
and she should have my email address
Just one moment.
through the prior communications we've had with the board.
Okay. Mr. Yes, there's a question from.
Ms. Nguyen, you should be in touch with the city, with the people who issued the violation, with Mr. Reuter, who has tried to email you, and with these violations that you have copies of. You should be talking perhaps to the real estate agent who was involved in your purchase of the property. And if you received title insurance, what Mr. Reuter has mentioned to you, you should be following up with these people to see what they can do to help you deal with this issue.
Okay, thank you for your advice.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So that matter will be noted as continued. Thank you.
I
Next
believe
matter?
that-
Everyone's excused.
Sorry, I believe that concludes my business on today's list, if I may be excused.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Ms. Nguyen, you may be excused as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Moto, our next matter.
Next matter, sir, is number 9 on the list, hearing appeal ending 5103, 5302 through 5304 Rising Sun Avenue, Venera Properties LLC is the appellant.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Good afternoon, Caitlin Carmody on behalf of the city.
Good afternoon. Okay, the appellant, is anyone present representing the appellant? Simon Randall Esquire is noted as legal counsel. Is Mr. Randall present?
I have
Okay,
not
Ms.
had any communication with Mr. Randall since the initial listing of this matter back in November.
Okay, Mr. Randall is not, it appears is not present today. I'll check in with IT support. Is there Simon Randall noted or anyone noted as with Venera Properties LLC?
No, sir.
No, sir? Okay, thank you. Well, Ms. Carmody, what is your pleasure? No one's responding.
In that case, the city would request a city affirmed for non-appearance.
Okay, Mr. Pincus, what time do you have?
1:39 p.m.
1:39 p.m. We will now pull the board regarding HA-2023-005.
Excuse me, I just want to confirm for the record, notice was sent to
Oh, yes.
proper address.
I skipped a step.
Notice of service to this hearing was sent to Venera Properties at 103 Carnegie Center, Suite 345, Princeton, New Jersey, as well as to Simon Randall Esquire, 103 Carnegie Center, Suite 345. Those notices were both sent out on 12/10/24.
Thank you very much. Okay, we will poll the board regarding HA 2023-005103, 5302-04 Rising Sun Avenue, Venera Property, City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Okay, thank you very much. Just one moment, please. Okay. Let's move on to the next matter.
Next matter, sir, is number 13 on the list, hearing appeal ending 0425-2532 North Warnock Street. Dorothy Bigsby is the appellant.
Okay, who's representing the city?
Hi, Caitlin Carmody on behalf of the city for this matter as well.
Good afternoon. Dorothy Bigby. Is Dorothy Bigby present? I see someone waving her hand. Jeanette is the name listed. Okay, we'll unmute, ma'am, and give us your name. Yeah,
My
give us
name
your
is Jeanette Grays, and I'm here on behalf of Jeanette Grays,
Okay. And you're on behalf of who?
Dorothea Bigsby.
Okay, what is your
That's my-
relationship to, okay, what is your relationship to the property itself? Are you the owner?
No, my grandfather and grandmother owned the property.
Okay, is that Dorothy Bigby?
No,
Who is
that's
Dorothy Bigby?
their
Do you know who that
daughter.
is?
Yes, she's my mother, and she's the daughter of the owners of the property.
Okay,
Both owners are deceased.
okay, and okay, then the daughter of the deceased owners, is she present? Is she available?
She's not, she's ill, she's 89 years old, and her memory is not good. I
Okay.
don't know how we handle this. I did go to the property and I
Okay, but
did
before you
clean
say
up.
anything else, ma'am, before you say anything else, we will need to get a ruling on this. Whose name is on the deed presently? Do you know?
My grandfather, George Bigsby, and my grandmother, Dorothy Bigsby.
Okay, still on still in their names. Is that a yes?
Unfortunately, it is, sir. Yes.
Okay, all right. Hold on for a moment, okay? We're going to need, just for a moment, we're going to, Ms. Carmody, we're going to take a moment and executive session, and we'll come back to you shortly, okay? So we'll go off the record for about 2 minutes.
For just one moment,
Yeah.
please. I just had a question for the appellant. Did you say your grandmother and your mother's names are both Dorothy Bigsby?
No, my mother's is Dorothea.
Okay, and your grandmother's name, was it Dorothy?
Yes.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Just one moment. Which one was? Okay, Ms. Bigby, I'm pronouncing it, yeah, Bigby, correct? Am I correct?
It is Bigsby, but my name is Jeanette Grays.
Okay, what we're going to need to do, Ms. Carmody, I think this matter should be continued for today. We can't proceed, ma'am, until you get an attorney to resolve this issue of ownership. Only the person whose name appears on the deed can speak on behalf of the property in these kinds of settings. So you and your family need to have the property transferred out of your grandparents' name into the name of whoever's inheriting the property or has assumed control of responsibility for the property. So we're going to continue this matter for at least 120 days to give you an opportunity to get that process started. So you need to hire legal counsel, I believe, to make that happen. Understood?
Okay,
All right, thank you.
yes,
Ms. Carmody, any
thank
final
you.
comment on this? You muted, Ms. Carmody.
Right, yeah, it's listed up that we can't unmute ourselves, so it took me a second. Just for the record, I mean, the city would just like to put on the record that, you know, it's our position that the matter should be dismissed for lack of standing in this matter, just to preserve that for the record. But I understand the board's position in continuing for 120 days, so just wanted to.
Thank you very much. So noted. Okay, Mr. Moto, let's move on to the next matter. Ms. Ms. Gray, rather, you are
Yes.
excused. You may, if you could, this is a public hearing, so you can remain on if you like till the end, or you excuse to go about your day.
So at this, I guess I'm not understanding at this point what's happening with me and the property.
We
I know that
continue-
you said to
yeah,
get an attorney
can-
to get it transferred, but it says she said dismissed for lack of standing. What does that
That
mean?
was the city's argument that you as an individual do not have standing, no legal right to bring the appeal. And what you put on the record indicating that your mother, whose name appears, is probably not competent to bring the appeal either. And also because she is not a owner of the property. The owners of the property are deceased. So you need to have legal counsel to help you figure out how to get this
Okay.
transferred to the appropriate person. That person then can bring in an appeal. Okay?
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Have a good afternoon.
I would just ask that my witness, Stacy Jones, may be excused.
Ms. Jones, you excuse. Okay, Mr. Moto? Thank you. Mr. Bernardo Dickerson. Mr. Dickerson, please come forward. Who's representing the city?
Caitlin Carmody on behalf of the city. This is my final.
Please have a seat, sir. Yes. Do you have any witnesses, Ms. Carmody?
I do. The city would like to call Mr. Martin Higgins.
Mr. Higgins, are you present? We will need you to make yourself known to us so that your image can pop up. Just a moment. Mr. Higgins?
He's on the call, but the participants aren't able to unmute themselves at the moment.
Okay, IT, please unmute Mr. Higgins.
Present.
All right, Mr. Higgins, also the appellant who's in the room, Mr. Bernardo Dickerson, sir, would you raise your right hand so you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Higgins?
Yes.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you give today will be the truth so help you God?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Ms. Carmody, let's proceed.
If I may share my screen, I will begin.
Yes. Yeah, he's in, man. Yeah, he's in what we're saying. Yes, if you magnify that just a small amount, ma'am.
Yes. Let me see if I can just see my own screen for a second. Is that better?
Yes, a lot better. Thank you.
Okay. So I will just begin. Mr. Higgins, can you please state your name and where you work?
My name's Martin Patrick Higgins. I'm with the Community Life Improvement Program, and I've been here for 27 years.
Okay. And are you familiar with the property located at 168 East Walnut Lane?
Yes,
Okay. And how are you familiar with the property?
I issued the violations.
Okay. I'm going to draw your attention to City's Exhibit C2. I will zoom back in a second. Just for the record, C1 is a copy of the appeal application. Okay. What is this document?
This is a notice of violation in order to correct.
Okay, and what was it issued for? Let me just scroll down.
It was issued for trash, overgrowth, and an abandoned vehicle.
Okay, and what was the date of this notice?
February 6th, 2024.
And was it issued to the appellant?
Yes.
And what was the correct by date listed on this notice of violation?
February 19th,
Okay.
2024.
And what, looking at the violation notice, when was the initial inspection of this property?
It looks like February 3rd.
Okay. Were photographs taken at this initial inspection?
Yes.
Okay, would you be able to recognize those?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to move on to City's Exhibit C3. Beginning on page 8. Okay. Is this the subject premises in question?
Yes.
Okay, and what is the date stamp on this photo?
Give me a sec.
I can zoom in further.
February 2nd, 2024.
Okay, and is it, sorry, go ahead.
At 2:34 p.m.
And is this a fair and accurate depiction of the premises at that time?
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to the next page, C3 at page 9. What are the conditions in this photo?
Overgrowth and again, the abandoned vehicle.
Okay. After this initial inspection, did you go back out and re-inspect after that correct by date had passed?
Yes.
And were additional photos taken?
Yes.
Okay. Turning now to C4. What is the time and date of this photograph?
So it looks like March 4th, 2024 at 8:37 p.m. or a.m. I'm sorry.
Okay. And has there been any change in the conditions since the initial inspection?
No.
Okay. How about this photograph as well, the time and date?
Again, it's for March 4th, 2024 at 8:37 a.m.
Okay, and where in the property is this? Is it in the front or the rear?
This is the rear yard.
Okay, understood. And does this also show violation conditions that were observed in February?
Yes.
Okay. And finally, this this photograph as well?
It's the front porch for March 4th of 2024 at 8:30 a.m.
Okay. And after this, after you revisited this morning and you saw the conditions remaining the same, did the city perform a site abatement or any work?
Not to my recollection, but we would process this case for an abatement.
Okay. I'm going to show you City's Exhibit C5 at page 13. Okay. What was the time and date of this photograph?
March 4th, 2024 at 9:03 a.m.
Okay. So between the first initial photos and this photograph, does it appear that any work had been done after this or at this time?
No.
Okay. Excuse me. All right. I have, is it your opinion that the initial notice of violation was properly issued for the conditions at the time back in February?
Yes.
Okay. And did those conditions, were those conditions abated in a timely manner by the appellant?
No.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Dickerson, do you have any questions of the inspector based on his testimony? Okay, would you push the button there so that light is on? Okay, just pull it closer to you so we can hear you. This is an opportunity for you as the appellant to cross-examine or to ask questions of the person who just spoke, Mr. Martin, the inspector. Do you have any questions for him?
I don't, well, my only question is why does the stuff on my porch constitute trash? I mean.
Okay, well, well, ask him that question. If that's the question, then he can respond to that.
Okay. Why was the stuff on my porch concluded to be trash? I mean, it was my stuff.
Okay, Mr. Higgins?
So the violation that was cited is for a trash violation. It also makes reference to rubbish. Rubbish defined by the code could be personal property as well as trash. And the accumulation and not being remediated is the violation.
Okay. Any additional questions you have for Mr. Martin Higgins?
No questions, but
Okay, well, let's do this then. Let's move on and ask that you present, I mean, you submitted the appeal, so share with us the basis of your appeal.
well, my appeal was when I first received the notification of the violation, I didn't know what trash he was talking about when I called the number that I was given, and I wasn't able to talk with Mr. Higgins, and person I talked to said that it was most likely trash left on the sidewalk after trash day, and I knew that couldn't have been the case. So
Okay.
and that was why I went and I filed the appeal, and I was told that no action would be taken until after the hearing.
Okay.
But
Well, today is the date and time for the hearing. But let me ask you, is that your you live at that location?
I did live at that location at the time of the I believe I was there at the time of the inspection. Yeah.
Okay. Is the property owned by you?
Yes.
Okay. So is it vacant now? No one living there?
No one's living there now.
Okay. Are the photos accurate, meaning that overgrowth of weeds and growth and abandoned car, are those things accurate?
Yes, in fact, there were 2 additional cars in the driveway.
Okay.
I believe at the time of the initial violation, and they were taken away.
Who took them away?
I have no idea. I wasn't informed of.
Well, we don't know if there's any record of the city taking them. Can't say that. I don't know. That's not part of the, Ms. Carmody, I don't believe that's part of the violation and or today's hearing, is it?
To the city's knowledge, there was the one vehicle as shown in the photos. Extra vehicles I have not observed in the photographs, no.
Okay. All right. So this, based on what we're hearing now, where the city's not involved in removing those vehicles. So I'm not sure who did it. Also, would like to ask you, any reason why you haven't cut the weeds back and or gotten rid of the abandoned vehicle?
I have cut the weeds back in the photographs. You can see the fence is completely uncovered. That was covered with weeds before, and I took them.
Do you have any
cut
before and
all
after
those down.
photos of anything?
I didn't take before or after pictures. No.
Okay.
I didn't know that was
Well, this is your case to make your case. This is the hearing that you requested. Okay, but the vehicle is still there.
that one vehicle is still there. Yes.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
Is that your vehicle?
It is my vehicle. And I didn't know that it wasn't legal for me to have my vehicle in my driveway.
Is it operable?
It's not operable at this time, no.
Okay, is it registered?
It was registered at the time I was using it.
But
it's
was it
not-
registered at the time that the violation was written?
No, I guess not.
Okay. The code is fairly specific about storage of motor vehicles, even on your own property, if they aren't registered with the state. And so that's part of
See,
the
I
issue.
didn't know any of this, so
Okay.
when I tried to contact,
But now you have the violation, which references the code. Did you read that?
yes, it's something about working on vehicles and
Okay.
but it,
All right.
it didn't say anything about owning the vehicle and having it stored on my,
Okay.
my driveway.
Mr. Dickerson, I have a question for you, sir. Were there air in the tires of the vehicle? And are there air in the tires of the vehicle currently?
There are the air,
They're all flat?
yeah, they're all flat.
Okay. Is it trash in and around the vehicle?
Trash?
Any kind of trash, yes.
Not that, no, not that I'm aware of.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Dickerson,
Yes.
the violation notice says that inoperative or unlicensed motor vehicle shall not be parked, kept, or stored on any premises. And no vehicle shall at any time be in a state of major disassembly. So the first part of this, there's more, but the fact is there was an unlicensed motor vehicle in your driveway. Is that correct? And it was not drivable at the time. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, do you have anything else you want to share with us before we vote on your case?
Well, it's just that once I applied for the appeal, I was told that no further action would be taken. But they did come around and they took all the stuff off my porch, or most of the stuff off my porch. They removed my trash can and my garden hose, the firewood I had on the porch, and they just took it.
And who took it? Do you know?
The city, I have the abatement notice.
So there was some additional enforcement action taken against that
Yes.
address.
Yes.
Ms. Carmody, do you have that as part of your record? Because I know that you asked Mr. Higgins that and he didn't have any record of that happening.
I do have an additional, I do have an invoice for weed cutting, but given as the issue at hand, it was not any sort of invoice or bill, and just rather whether the violations existed or were complied. I can show it on the screen if.
Okay, would you recall Mr. Higgins, please?
Sure.
Mr. Higgins, the testimony from the appellant is that the city came out and removed things from his porch and cut the grass, and I guess gave him a notice of that. Is that reflective in your records?
So the record that I received didn't include the abatement bill, but he was given notice and this wasn't his first notice.
I'm not asking that. I'm just asking is that, I just want to make sure the record is clear that the city did take abatement action at that address.
I would have to see the bill to give you an accurate answer.
I can share my screen.
You have a copy of the bill?
Yes, I believe I do. Is City C6. Yes, okay. Mr. Higgins, what is this document that we're looking at?
This is the abatement bill that was generated through the Eclipse system.
Okay, and looking at this invoice, when was work performed at this property?
So the invoice date is March 6th. Work was performed on March 4th
Okay.
of 2024.
And looking at this description of work, what work was done by the city according to this invoice?
Cleanup and removal of rubbish and high weeds.
Okay.
Okay, so that would not have included the removal of any vehicles from the property?
No.
Okay.
Removal of vehicles will come from the abandoned vehicle operations unit.
Do you know if these two vehicles, if the vehicles on that property were they removed by that unit? Do you know, are you aware of that?
I'm not aware of that. So what would happen is I issue the violation for the abandoned vehicle, then I refer it to AVO, and then AVO takes over the violation from that point on.
Okay,
For
did you
the
make a
abandoned
referral in
vehicle.
this case?
Yes, I always do.
Okay. Yes.
Inspector Higgins, with AVO, do they coordinate with the abandoned vehicle unit to go out there simultaneously with CLIP when they're abating the building or the exterior and they remove the vehicles if notified?
So in instances where the vehicle impedes us from being able to perform the work to make the code remedy, yes, they will work in coordination with us. In this instance, the vehicle was parked in the driveway and it didn't impede the crew workers to be able to abate the violations.
Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, I have a question for
yes,
Mr. Dickerson.
please.
Mr. Dickerson, did you cut the weeds off the fence?
Yes, I cut the weeds. The only thing that they cut was a bush. It was a boxwood bush that was in the corner. It was maybe 8 or 10 feet tall, and they cut it down to about 4 feet. So they knew it wasn't a weed. They knew it was a bush, but they cut it anyway.
Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Dickerson, you'd like to share with us before we vote on your case?
I guess not.
Okay, the violation notices that you received, recite the code itself. So pay close attention to the wording of the code. And sometimes, individual homeowners, like a certain aesthetic in terms of how big flowers and plants, grow. But the code has very specific, requirements. So some things that are 8 foot tall look fine to you and me, but the code says they shouldn't exceed a certain height. And so once the violation occurs, the city abated it, which that's why they reduced the size of it. So I'm just advising you to take a close look at that violation language so that you can get a better sense of what the expectations are.
Yeah, when I called to get some clarification on the language with Mr. Higgins, I could never reach him.
Okay. All right. All right, anything else from anyone? Okay. All right. Just one moment. Yeah. Sure.
Mr. Dickerson, have you contacted anybody at CLIP to find out where your other items from your porch might be?
With the other items like my garden hose and so forth. No, I didn't.
Thank you.
Okay. If there's nothing else from anyone, this is item 20, HA 2024-000560, 168 East Walnut Lane, Bernardo Dickerson, City affirmed.
City affirmed. City affirmed.
Appeal sustained.
Appeal sustained.
Appeal sustained.
Okay, in this instance, the majority vote is appeal sustained. That means, Mr. Dickerson, you won your appeal. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, thank you very much. Ms. Carmody? The witness is excused.
I have other matters before the board.
Okay, what do we have next? Mr.
Item number 21, sir, hearing appeal ending 0566 1342 Moore Street. Megan Powers is the appellant.
Okay, yes. Yeah, the witness is excused. My apologies.
He has other matters.
Oh, he does? Oh, okay,
No, he said he had other matters.
okay. Number 21, Megan Powers. Is Megan Powers present? Who's representing the city?
She's here. She has her hand raised.
Yep. Mr. Cohen, you have any witnesses, sir? You're muted at the moment.
1 second. There we go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the board. The city will eventually call its witness, Robert Curran, who is here on the chat.
Okay, Ms. Megan Powers, if you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much. Ms. Powers, before we begin, what is your relationship to this property? Are you the owner?
I am the property owner, correct?
Are there any other names on the deed in addition to yours?
Yep, there is one other name on the deed. His name is Andrew Harding. He's my partner. We are not married, but we do own it jointly.
Joint tenants and comments, so let me check something here. Is this a business relationship, investment property?
It's not where I live. I'm here right now.
Okay, just one moment.
He is present. If you want me to get him, I can get him.
Actually, if you can get him, that would solve some problems. So ask him to come forward.
Give me 2 seconds. Let me
Oh.
scream. Hold on 1 second.
If I can ask members of the board, what is the particular issue? If
Well, there's
the
two
appellant
names
is a
on the
co-owner?
deed, and she is not sole owner. And if the other person is present, I want to make sure that he's also understands what's happening in these proceedings.
I have no objection to that. I'm just wondering, because the appellant is a co-owner of the property, the appellant is an aggrieved party and thus has standing to move forward.
Well, he's here now, so, sir, if you put your name on the record, please.
Oh, he can't hear. Hold on. Sorry, hold on. Let me put it on my system. Let me turn off. There he is. Say your name for the record, please. Andrew Harding.
I can barely hear you.
Sorry, guys. I lost you on sound. Hold on. I'm so sorry. I had to disconnect my headphones. Okay, let's take it.
Just repeat your name for the record, sir.
Andrew Harding.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Cohen, let's proceed.
Thank you. The city would call Inspector Robert Curran.
Mr. Curran, raise your right hand so you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You place your hand down.
Inspector Curran, if you could briefly tell the board how many years you've worked for L&I and in what capacity?
I've been with the city for 8 years. I'm a commercial and residential building inspector.
And through the course of your duties for L&I, have you inspected the property at and reviewed the records for 1342 Moore Street?
Yes, I have.
And with that, I'd like to share on my screen the exhibits packet that's been previously provided to the board and to the appellant.
Thank you.
Can everyone see what's on my screen?
Not yet.
Give
There
it
you
a
go.
minute. And now, can everyone see?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, excellent. I'm going to move down to page 2, which is exhibit C1 in the packet. Inspector, could you please tell us what these photographs are?
That is the front of her property. That is a stop work order on her front door.
I'm just moving down to page 3. Is this the stop work order you're discussing?
Yes.
What are the issues for which work was stopped?
They needed a building permit, electrical, plumbing, and mechanical.
Just for the sake of the record, is this stop work order posted on the front door between the deadbolt to the right and one of the windows of the door to the left?
Yes, it is.
When were these photographs taken?
December 14th, 2023.
Did you take these photographs?
Yes, I did.
Do they accurately depict the status of the property on December 14th of 2023?
Yes.
Now moving down to page 4 in the packet, what is this photograph that I'm showing?
That is, again, the front of the property, minus the stop work order on the front door.
Did you take this photograph?
Yes, I did.
When did you take the photograph?
January 25th, 2024.
So about a month and 11 days after the previous photos?
Yes.
And I think you mentioned, but is the stop work order still posted on the door between the deadbolt and the door window?
It is not there anymore.
And I'm actually scrolling down. I have a sort of zoom in of the photo. It's a bit grainy, but is there anything else that you can see in this photo between the deadbolt and the window on the front door?
You can see the remnants of the sticker on the door.
Are stop work order posters easy to remove?
It is removed. No.
So in your experience, when stop work orders are removed by someone other than the department, are remnants like this often left behind?
Yes.
And is that what happened in this case?
Yes.
And moving down to page 6, was a new stop work order posted in the front window?
Yes.
What is this document that I have on screen that's been pre-marked as Exhibit C2 on page 7?
That is a site violation notice.
What is the specific section of the Philadelphia Code cited in this notice?
A Tech 504.7. That's,
So,
stop work order violation.
and what specific stop work order violation is at issue here?
Remove, damage, alter, or deface any stop work order.
And I'm just going to, for the board's sake, point out that on page 10, I have a copy of the appeal application, the form, and actually an extra copy of the site notice that is attached to the appeal. On page 14, I have a copy of section A504 of the Philadelphia Code. A504.7 is also reproduced here, as well as A504.8, classifying a violation of this section as a class 3 violation. Moving down to page 16, what is this document that I have on screen?
It is a residential building permit.
What's the date of this residential building permit?
February 15th, 2024.
That's 21 days after the removal of the stop work order?
Yes.
And is this also issued for 1342 Moore Street?
Yes, it is.
And scrolling down now to page 19, what is this document?
It is a mechanical permit, and it's dated
Also, same
February
property?
20. Yeah, same property, 1342 Moore. Issued
And what's
February 23rd.
So that's 29 days after the stop work order was removed?
Yes.
And on page 22 in the packet, what is this document?
Electrical permit.
And the date?
February 27th, 2024.
That's 33 days after?
Give or take, yes.
And then scrolling down again to page 25, what is this final document?
That is a plumbing permit. And 1342 Moore. Date issued February 29th.
And that's 35 days after the removal of the stop work order?
Yes.
And what is this document here on page 29?
That is stop work orders listed.
What's the date that it was lifted?
March 1st, 2024.
So that's the day after the plumbing permit was issued, which I think is the final of the 4 permits the stop work order said needed to be obtained, correct?
Yeah.
Just for the record, any of the highlighting in these documents is not in the original. It has been produced for this record. And Inspector, the exhibits that I've shown you, all of the permits and this notice to lift the stop work order and the site violation notice, are those all records that L&I keeps in the ordinary course of its business?
Yes.
And are those all records that the information that goes into them is entered by an L&I employee through their ordinary duties?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I would present the inspector for cross-examination, and I can keep the exhibits up on my screen if the appellant wants to use them.
Yes, for the moment, keep them up. Ms. Powers, do you have any questions for Mr. Curran? Any cross-examination questions for Mr. Curran?
I do have a couple questions. I also have some further exhibits as well that I have sent over ahead of time that I would like to show.
Yeah, after you've
The
asked
city could
him,
get a copy of those, please.
What will happen is
They
that,
have already been emailed over, and
okay,
I can email them again.
Ms. Powers, when my lips are moving, nobody else should be talking. Okay? What we'd like you to do is to ask the questions, then after that, the city may have more witnesses to put on or additional evidence, after which then you can put your case on. Okay?
Great.
All right, what are your questions?
Sounds great. First question is, I noticed on the first photograph, the stop work order was placed on our front door, between, what is it, the left of the deadbolt and the right of the triangle glass. On the second one, the stop work order, when it was replaced, was placed on the window. Mr. Curran, is there a reason why the stop work order was not replaced on the door?
I just put it on the window because because if you take it off that window, it'll show that you removed it from the window. So that's why I put it in a different spot. This way, in case you did remove it, there's evidence that you removed it again, or somebody removed it again. That's why I put it.
Okay. And is there a reason why you chose to put it on the door instead of the window to begin with?
I put it on the door first. Now there's no reason.
Okay. And in your previous knowledge or your history with working with the department, have there ever been cases where the stop work orders have become wet and fallen off of the door?
Yes, there's been cases, but there's still,
Okay,
there would still be evidence that there was a sticker on the door.
correct, correct. And is there evidence that there's a sticker on the door in this photo?
In this particular photo right here, yes, I
Mhm.
see a little right by the deadbolt, a little bit of.
Correct.
That's all I see.
Correct. And in your historical and professional knowledge, is there, if this had not been wet, which is my case, right? From what you've seen, is it easy to remove the stop work order with that small amount of a residue left over? Or would there tend to be more residue left over?
And all the, I don't know how to answer that question, to be honest with you, man.
Okay, when they are forcibly removed, do you tend to see a significant amount of residue left or not a lot?
It all depends if the door's dusty or, I tend to wipe the door down before I put it up there.
Okay, and obviously this is a nice door. We have refinished it. But
It was a
with
long
that
time.
door, from what you remember, obviously this was a bit ago, but do you know if you firmly placed it onto the door or did you place it lightly as to not damage the door?
I put it on the door.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you. And further that, from your knowledge, other than the stop work order being on this door, did we comply to all other requirements that we had to follow and ensure that all permits and requirements
Yes.
were followed?
Yep,
Thank
you
you.
received all your permits and they were all completed and approved.
Correct. Thank you
Yep.
so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. No problem.
Okay. Mr. Cohen, do you have any additional witnesses?
No, but I have some redirect for Mr. Curran.
Yes.
The appellant asked you about the residue that a stop work order leaves behind. Is a stop work order designed to be easily removable or difficult to remove?
It is designed to be difficult to remove.
How so?
I guess the glue they use in the tape. I'm not 100% sure.
In your experience, when a stop work order is removed without the department's approval or permission, is it typically weather that does the removing, or is it typically a person that does the removing?
It's typically a person that does the removing.
And if you'll bear with me just one moment. Do you remember what the weather was like between December 14th of 2023 and January 25th of 2024?
I honestly do not recall.
Well, do you remember if there was any significant rainfall or snowfall during that period? Does anything stick out in your mind?
Not necessarily, no.
And is the stop work order designed to handle a typical level of rain or precipitation?
Yes.
If I can actually share my screen briefly. Based on the Weather Underground historical weather report for the month of December 2023, does it look like there, between December 14th and the end of December, does it look like there was a significant amount of precipitation?
No.
And now let's go to January of 24. Was there a significant amount of precipitation between January 1st and January 25th of January of 2024?
No.
Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if there's any recross, city would present Inspector Curran for that.
I have a question for Inspector Curran. Can you hear me, Inspector?
I hear you lightly. Yeah, I have my volume all the way up.
All right, can you hear me now?
Yes, I do.
When you put the initial stop work order on the property, Had someone actually gone in or seen work being performed? What was the justification for placing that stop work order on the front door?
Actually, if I can interject, board member, there is a separate blur appeal that addresses that because there was a separate notice issued.
Would you say that again, Mr. Cohen?
So there is a separate Board of L&I review appeal for that specific question. There was a separate notice of violation issued for the lack of permits. So that actually will be coming before the board, I want to say, in a couple of weeks' time.
So the only issue before us, this is, I guess, for you, Counselor, is the removal of a stop work order and that constituting a violation of city regulations and ordinances?
That's correct.
Is that the sole issue before us today?
That's correct. There is a separate appeal to be dealt with at a later date for the unpermitted, the nature of the work, whether what was or was not unpermitted. The only issue here is the removal of a stop work order from the front door.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Cohen?
I have nothing further for Inspector Curran. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Powers, your opportunity to share with us your understanding of the facts of this case.
Great. I'm going to share my screen. Thank you guys so much for your time. So I'm going to scroll down. So my argument here is that the stop order was issued on the door. It did remain on the door, and and no work was completed during the time of violation, which I know we're not here to discuss that. During this time, just to scroll down, in January, we actually did have a significant amount of precipitation. Mr. Cohen, I realize that you did quickly pull up a view, but I would ask that you dig a little bit further into that. So if you look at this graph, and you can see the amount of fog, haze, drizzle, light rain, moderate rain, heavy rain, freezing rain, sleet, snow, everything we have.
Ma'am, before you
Sure.
do that, you need to give some foundation. What is this document and the source and that sort of thing?
Great. So case one is we did have a significant amount of weather from December to January. The historical precipitation that I am referencing here can be found on this link. Happy to share it with you. This has been emailed over to boards admin at phila.gov as well ahead of time.
Okay,
I'll put it in the
if I could,
my question to you is, what is the source of this document and what, is there a title or a label to be attached to it so we know what we're reading?
Can you
if I
give me
could
an example
interject,
so
the
I
city
can
has not
better
received a
answer?
copy
Oh,
of
wait,
these
wait.
exhibits.
Two things. Mr. Cohen is raising an objection, but before we get to your objection, Mr. Cohen, Ms. Powers, do you know what the label that's attached to this document is? So we can identify it?
Oh, sure. Like what did the document, what did it say when I emailed it in?
Just one moment.
Ms. Powers,
This is
can
what
you enlarge the visual, because there's clearly a website address on the top of the document that shows what company it comes from. But can you
Yep,
enlarge
sure.
that?
Yep, can you see it? I've zoomed it in as far as I can on my screen.
Okay.
And if you can you read the title on that document to the board, please?
Sure. It's weather-spark.com/H-/22721/2024-1-in Philadelphia-Pennsylvania-United-States, and it continues.
All right, Mr. Cohen has an objection. Mr. Cohen, what's your objection?
It's only that the city has not received a copy of these exhibits. If they've been sent to boards admin, could they be please forwarded to my email address?
Okay, Ms. Powers, did you forward a copy of all your documents to the lawyer representing the city, Mr. Cohen?
I did not. I followed the instructions on my site violation, on the violation, which says to submit them to boards admin at phila.gov.
And when did you do that?
I sent it in yesterday.
Oh, okay. I think there's a need to have them in earlier, but okay. So we will.
I
make sure,
understand. Next
we'll
time,
make
I
sure-
promise I will.
Mr. Cohen, Board's administration will transfer that information over to you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's continue. Ms. Powers?
Sure, thank you. As you can see here, we did have a significant amount of rainfall, as it looks quite different than the graph that Mr. Cohen has shown.
So what on this graph would tell us that there was a significant amount of rainfall? What would tell us that?
Sure. So if you look at the guide on the bottom of the colors, so you can see green, the shades of green are rain, and the shades of blue are snow. So on this, you can see December 15th, 22nd, 29th. This goes through January, but we did have a significant amount of snow both on December 15th, 16th, and further down into the month. And then it does continue with some fog, haze, and drizzle through up until this end date, which is around January 22nd, 23rd, 25th timeframe. May I continue?
Yes, please.
Thank you. I also have included, I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I can't quite see my screen here. I can zoom back in when we get to some further photos. I did include some photos of the job site in here, which you can see that no work has been done. And I did also,
ma'am, you're scrolling through too quickly. You have to
sorry.
describe what you're trying to show us and what it represents.
Sure. This shows that no work has been done in the job site since the stop work order had been issues. There are some boxes in the property, as this is my property, that we had delivered there that is just sitting inside. No work has been done.
What's the date of those photographs?
I don't have the date on here, but I can get it
Okay,
for
so,
you.
well, now, just if you don't have the date, how does that prove your point?
I can get you the date. I can find them from my contractor and the date in which he sent them
Okay,
to
but
me.
you don't have them presently?
It is not present on this document.
Okay,
No.
all right. So just scroll through the others.
Thank you. Continuing down, you can see that the house is not being worked on continuously. Continuing to scroll down, you can see the house is still not being worked on. Going down, you can see this is the stop work order in the place in front of the door where it was. You can see through this that there are some markings that match the residue that was left. You can see on the edges that it is peeled up, curled up on the corners, and it clearly has been wet. Also in the background, you can see that there is snow in this photograph. My front door is not protected by a storm door or any sort of awning. It is directly exposed to the street.
Ms. Powers, where is that stop order sign located that you're showing us?
This is in the entryway of my property.
So it's not on the outside where anyone walking by would see it?
In his hand in this photograph?
In this photograph, is that sign on the exterior or somewhere visible for someone who would be walking by your property?
It was visible. What I'm trying to show in this photograph is the condition in which the stop work order was found, as it was no longer attached to the door. It had fallen off of the door.
Okay.
And that's what I'm trying to show here.
So, Ms. Powers, the stop work order appears to be in still pretty good condition, correct?
Correct.
And so is there any reason why you did not post it back up on the door?
I was not aware that it had fallen on the door. And then as soon as I received the violation, a new stop work order had already been put on the window by Mr. Curran.
You were not aware that it had fallen off the door? Is that what you just testified to?
That is correct. I was not residing at this residence as we were under a stop work order. There were no, I couldn't, it was not inhabitable. I was not residing here. I was living off of family's goodwill at this time.
When did you retrieve this document, this stop work order that you hold in your hand?
This is from my contractor, and it did remain in the property until all stop work orders were lifted. If I can scroll down, I can actually show you guys where, I forgot that photo. Anyway, it did remain in the property. It was not removed from the property, but they did not repost it to the front door. It was sitting inside.
I'm a little confused. The stop work order was originally posted on the exterior of the entry door, correct?
That's correct.
The weather-related conditions caused it to come off the door, correct?
That is
But it
correct.
But it ended up inside the vestibule of the property. Is that what you're testifying to?
My contractors did take it inside of the house. They did not repost it as soon as I found out it had already been reposted by Mr. Kirk.
Thank you.
Absolutely. As you can see here, also here is, you can see moisture on the door, and you can see that there is very little to no there's very, very little residue on the door.
I have another, excuse
in-
me, Ms. Powers, I have another question. Just is puzzling me.
Sure.
That stop work order you just had up on the screen came off due to the, I had it written here, the weather smart conditions indicated in December of a snowstorm, correct?
Right, December through January. I don't know the
Okay.
exact day in which
So
it fell off.
that weather and that storm caused this stop work order to come off the door and out in the elements, and this is the results of it, and it ended up in the vestibule.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else? Mr. Chairman? Yes, please.
I have some cross after
Yes.
everything is over.
Mr. Pettit?
Ms. Powers, you said that once the stop work order was posted, there was no work being done.
That is correct.
What was the contractor on site for? How did he get the permit? How did he get the
We
stop
had-
work order? If there was no work
Great.
being done.
Great question. We did have some deliveries that were no longer able to be scheduled, which you can see here, which is our appliances. They did need to be placed into the houses. There was nowhere else to store them. And he opened the door for the appliance people for us because I was not in town. I was not able to reside at the property. I was residing about an hour and a half to 2 hours away.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Powers?
I think that's it. I not quite sure how much of a stronger case I could make here.
Well, I do have one question. It appears that, at least from the photo that Mr. Cohen put up. Mr. Cohen, you have a photo of the stop work order that was on the front door, correct?
Yes.
Would you mind
I will
sharing your screen?
reshare my screen. Just one moment. I'm sorry, I have a lot of windows open at the moment. You'll have to bear with me. There we go. And I'll scroll up to, here we go.
Okay, that's the original one I was posted on the door. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to, what's the date at the bottom of that?
December 14th, 2023.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you very much. Okay, do you have any cross-examination for Ms. Powers?
Yes. Actually, Ms. Powers, if you could share on your screen that photograph of the removed stop work order again. So who took this photograph?
My contractor took this photograph.
When did he take that photograph?
He sent me this photograph. I can find you the exact date. 1 second. One moment. Apologies, I have to find it on my history. Doing my best here. So he sent me, the appliance was delivered on January 18th to 1342 Moore Street, and that's when he let me know about the stop work order as well.
So then that stands to reason that he must have taken the photo sometime shortly before January 18th or thereabouts.
Yeah, I assume so. It's when I received communication from him.
So that was before LNI issued the site violation notice for the removal of the stop work order. Correct?
Correct. Correct. It was in
So
that
that-
time span.
So that means neither you nor your contractor contacted LNI to let them know the stop work order is no longer on the door, correct?
That is correct.
That also
I
means
don't-
that if you could scroll up to your precipitation document.
Sure.
So that means that everything that happened, sort of this big gray and green area to the right side, none of that precipitation would have had any effect on the stop work order, which was already removed from the door as of the 18th, correct?
I suppose so, sir.
So really, we're talking about the bands in the middle here of light to moderate snow, light rain to moderate rain. That sort of happens sporadically between the 15th and the 15th of December and January 18th, correct?
Sure.
And if you scroll back down to the photo of the stop work order. So you made mention that sort of at the bottom under where it says must obtain required permits, you can see sort of, I guess, splotches on the stop work order. Is that right?
Yep, right here. You can see where it was glued to the door.
And I was going to say, and you can see in the next photo, the sort of remnants where the parts that sort of match up almost like a jigsaw puzzle, the parts on the door would match up with the splotches in the back of the stop work order.
That's correct.
Have you ever had to remove a really sticky Band-Aid? Have you ever rubbed water or oil underneath the Band-Aid at the adhesive to get it to pull off?
Sure, you can rub oil to get an adhesive to pull off or water to pull off.
But when that happens, generally the adhesive isn't left behind because what you're doing is you're essentially introducing a chemical agent to break the bond slowly, as opposed to if you rip it off the door, then it would leave some adhesive behind. Isn't that right?
That is correct. Can I ask you a question?
Well, after I've asked some questions on Cross, you'll have another opportunity to, I guess, do a little redirect or just to address the board again.
Sure.
But then it stands to reason if there's remnants left on the door, that does imply that there was some forceful removal, right?
It implies that a small portion was forcibly removed.
Okay. I have nothing further on Cross.
Okay, Ms. Powers, do you have any additional information you want to share with us?
I do not have any additional information to share with you. I would like to ask the question of if this was forcibly removed and
Who are you wanting to ask those questions of?
I suppose Mr. Cohen.
Mr. Cohen is not a witness. He's an attorney, so he's not to be
Okay.
questioned. Okay,
Okay, well then I would like to ask Mr. Curran.
okay, please.
City
Mr.
has no
Kern?
objection to calling Mr. Kern back.
Okay, Mr. Kern. All right, Ms. Powers, please proceed.
Sure, thank you. Mr. Curran, is it fair to say that if this sticker had not already been loosened and the entire thing had been forcibly removed, there would be more residue on the door?
Can you repeat that, man? Sorry.
No, no worries. I know we're going, I know I'm taking my time here, but if this sticker was forcibly removed, would there be more residue on the door? If there had not been some sort of chemical agent, to use Jeffrey's, Mr. Cohen's terms, like water or snow or sleet?
Be more, I mean, sometimes it removes differently, I guess. I mean,
From your professional expertise, right? Because I can't say what I've seen
That
across
actually
the
the city
city.
would object to. He hasn't been qualified as an expert in chemistry, I guess. He
He's
can
an
speak to his,
expert.
he can speak to
Ms.
his
Powers,
experience as a
Each
code
person gets to
official.
speak, okay? And he's raising a legal objection as to whether or not the witness has been qualified as an expert in terms of removal of documents. I think you've asked that question multiple times in different ways.
Is Mr. Curran not an expert in what these stickers look like it is part of his job and responsibility to apply these stickers?
Okay, but what is the question? I'm not sure if I understand. Well,
I
ask
would-
the question, I guess
I
we'll
think
have
the
to.
city's position for the record on that would be,
Yes.
we don't have an objection to him speaking to his experience with these, because he has experience with posting stop work orders to properties. It's just if we're getting into the realm of actual like chemistry or calling it expertise, which is a legal category of expertise, then the city would object.
Okay. Let me think of a way to phrase my question. In your professional opinion or what you've seen, is this more or less residue than is normally left on stop work order once removed?
Not the same. I mean, it's all depends on. It looks the same. Man.
Okay. I think I'm done.
Okay.
Thank
You have
you.
a question?
Question for Mr. Curran. Mr. Curran, in your 8 years of experience putting stop work orders on, has any of your stop work orders fallen off?
I've never had anybody, not to my knowledge, anybody ever came to me, or I never had, to my knowledge, a hearing that one came off, and that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, Ms. Powers, one question I do have of you. Your contractor sent that photo to you. Is there any reason why he didn't reinstall it?
I could ask him why, but it's not something we discussed at the time. I wasn't aware that it would have to be reinstalled. By the time I was aware, it had already been reposted by Mr. Curran.
I didn't hear the final part of that.
Oh, I said-
By the time something, I didn't hear any.
By the time I was aware of the violation, it had already been reposted by Mr. Curran. Otherwise, I would have asked him to put it back on the door, but had already been reposted.
Okay. Any sense of why your contractor started work without the permits?
He was not supposed to start work without the permits, and we had a very long conversation and very difficult relationship in which we had to work through that together. But I was not happy, and I was supposed to receive permits the entire time. It was never my intention to do work without permits.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anything
you.
else from anyone? Mr. Cohen, any final argument?
Actually, very briefly, if this had been an innocent mistake, then why was LNI not contacted shortly after the photograph of the removed stop work order was sent from the contractor to Ms. Powers? I think that in and of itself shows that there's some effort not to inform LNI, not to deceive LNI necessarily, but to omit that information. And then when LNI issued the site violation notice, then it became an effort to challenge the site violation notice. But I think since there is residue left on the door in the photographs you saw from the city and from Ms. Powers, I think at least part of this was pulled down off the door. Even if, let's say, the weather may have started the work, maybe a corner was peeling off, there was definitely parts of the adhesive that stuck to that door that were not affected by the chemical interaction of water and H2O and the adhesive on the back of that stop work order. And you heard from Inspector Curran, these orders are designed to stay up. This is, I think, one of the only times that he has been told or has heard of a stop work order, quote unquote, spontaneously falling off of a door.
Yeah. Thank you. Ms. Powers, I should have done this before and I didn't, so I'll give you an opportunity to have the final word. Anything else you want to add before we vote on your matter?
No, I will say that there's a first time for everything, right? Historical expertise is very important, but I'm not here to try to mislead anybody. Hopefully this will never happen again. In the future, I will contact LNI. I had not been in contact with LNI during this time. My contractor had been working directly with LNI. As soon as I found out it had already been reposted, otherwise I would have put it right back up there myself. The intention is not to mislead or distract.
Thank you. Okay, we will now poll the board regarding HA 2024-000-566 1342 Moore Street, Megan Powers, City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirmed.
Ms. Powers, the vote is unanimous, city affirmed, which means you lost your appeal. You may appeal a decision of the board. Should you need information as to how to do that, check with the administrator, and they will give you information you need to appeal a decision made by this board. Thank you very much for your participation. Have a good afternoon. The witnesses are excused.
Thank you very much, members of the board.
Ma'am,
you.
your hand is raised and you're muted.
Thank you, Inspector.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask how I can contact the city administrator to get information on appealing the.
Sure, it will be on the
Decision.
decision letter that you receive in the mail.
Great.
There should be a phone number and contact information, and there may be contact information on the invitation you got to this hearing.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you so much.
Thank you very much. Have a good
Bye-bye.
afternoon. Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Moto, what's next?
Next item, sir, is case 26, hearing appeal ending 0581 5325 Walnut Street, Terry Johnson.
Okay, who's representing the city? Mr. Cohen, Terry Johnson. Is Terry Johnson present?
I did see him here earlier, and I'm sorry, I shouldn't have muted myself right after finishing that last hearing.
He's in the room. I've asked him to unmute, sir.
Mr. Johnson, would you unmute yourself?
I did. Thank you.
All righty. Okay, Mr. Johnson, would you raise your right hand so that you may be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth to help you God?
I affirm.
Thank you. Sir, one thing though, are you the only name on the deed to this property?
I should be, yes.
I'm not sure I understand that answer. Are
Yes,
you?
I am.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Cohen, do you have a witness?
Yes, Inspector Brahim Johnson, who is here under the name Inspector Johnson.
Okay, Inspector Johnson, would you unmute yourself? Raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. You're still muted. He may need support.
Yeah, I was gonna say, may need to request to unmute.
Okay.
I do.
I didn't ask you anything yet. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today be the truth to help you God?
I do.
All right, thank you very much. We do have one obvious question, Mr. Cohen. That is the relationship between Terry Johnson and Inspector Johnson.
I don't believe there is any, but I will ask
I
as
just put
part
that on
of
the record,
Inspector
please, to make
Johnson's
sure-
testimony.
No, there's no relation at all.
Thank you.
Excuse me for interjecting, this is Board Counsel Ryan Sherry. Can I just have the Inspector Johnson just spell his first name for the court reporter?
BRAHEIM. Raheem.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brahim Johnson. Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Cohen, let's proceed.
Thank you. Inspector Johnson, how long have you worked for L&I and in what capacity?
For a year in enforced property maintenance code.
And through the course of your duties for L&I, have you inspected the property at and reviewed the records for 5325 Walnut Street?
I was not the initial inspector, but it was reassigned to me, so I have reviewed the case file. Yes.
With that, I'm going to share some exhibits on my screen. If you'll please bear with me. I'm scrolling down the packet to page 2. What is this document that I have on screen, Inspector?
Notice of violation.
In
order to correct.
Thank you. What is the date of this document?
January 8th, 2024.
Was it an 8 or a 9?
8. 9. Sorry, 9. There we go. 9.
Quite all right. What is the violation cited in this document?
To repair the roof, a roof defect.
And this is at 5325 Walnut Street?
Yes.
Is this the kind of document that L&I keeps in the ordinary course of its business?
Yes.
And who enters the information that goes into this document?
An inspector.
And in this case, this was the first inspector, Martin Dean, correct?
Yes, correct.
Now, if you'll bear with me, scrolling down to Exhibit B in the packet on page 6. This is a copy of the Board of L&I Review Appeal paperwork. It states merely, I am aggrieved by the issuance of this violation, which does not explain exactly how Mr. Johnson, the appellant, is aggrieved. It does says, I believe this notice was issued incorrectly. And now scrolling down to Exhibit C in the packet, starting on page 11, what are these photographs?
The front of the property.
And is this the photographs taken on December 21st, 2023 by the initial inspector?
Yes, I believe so.
Are these photographs something that the inspector would take through the ordinary course of his duties?
Yes.
And are these photos kept by L&I in the ordinary course of its business?
Yes.
Have you been to the property?
No.
Have you reviewed these photographs as part of your review of the record?
Yes.
What, if anything, can you tell me about the condition of the front porch roof in these photos?
That on the side corners of the porch roof, it's starting to separate.
So if I'm looking at this photograph and looking where the roof meets
No, in this photograph is in the front, it's starting to crack, and then it's starting to collapse in.
Well, that's what I'm asking. If I look on the left-hand side, it looks like the roof is flush with the tops of these windows, correct?
Yes.
But then if I look to the right-hand side, it looks like the roof is now sloping downwards towards the front door.
Yes.
And scrolling down here to page 12, what can you tell me about this photograph?
The cornice is starting to detach from the ceiling.
So is that sort of
Yes.
dark shady area that I see as the cornice gets closer to the front door?
Mm-hmm.
Is that well, what is the issue or what is the problem with the current condition in this photograph?
Roof is supposed to be maintained in good condition.
Is it possible for moisture to get in between that crack and get at the wood that's underneath?
Yes.
And all the other surfaces on the outside, are they treated with some sort of paint or coating that would prevent moisture entry?
Yes.
And scrolling down over here, is there anything in this photograph on page 13 that sticks out?
Yes, if you scroll up just a little bit, it's a crack right there down the line.
Right here at the top,
Yes.
right in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
What's the
Sir,
potential
your answers
issue?
have to be yes and no in order for it to be recorded correctly,
Yes.
okay? All right, thank you.
And what's the potential issue with this crack right here?
It shows that the roof is not in good condition.
Okay. Thank you very much, Inspector. I will keep the exhibits on screen for cross-examination if the appellant will want to use them.
Mr. Terry Johnson, do you have any questions for the inspector based on his testimony?
Well, since he didn't do the original work,
Mr. Johnson,
I can't really ask him
Johnson,
any questions about.
Mr. Johnson, I can barely hear
Yes.
you.
Yeah.
And your image keeps moving in and out. So if you could be stationary for a moment, hold your device stationary, that would help. Now,
About now. you hear
that's
me?
much better. Thank you. That's much
Okay.
better. What I wanted to know is, do you have any questions for Inspector Johnson based on his testimony?
I can't really ask Inspector Johnson any questions because since he didn't do the initial inspection.
But he testified, so I'm just asking
Yeah,
if you have any
okay.
questions. So if you don't, that's
Well-
okay. Okay, if you don't have
Um,
any questions, that's okay.
No, I don't. The only thing I would add is that.
Well,
when I
wait
did-
a minute. It's not your turn yet. I just wanted to see if
Okay,
you
I'm
had any
sorry.
Well,
questions.
if there's
Okay.
no cross-examination, the city doesn't have any redirect. The city would move its exhibits into evidence and then rest.
So move. Okay, now, Mr.
Mr.
Johnson,
Johnson,
tell
should
us.
I, should I keep the exhibits on screen? Or
Yes,
should I-
just for a moment. Yeah, let's do
Okay.
that.
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Johnson, what will you want to tell us regarding this case? This is your appeal.
Well, at first, when I first received the notices from the inspection, none of the pictures were included. So I was wondering, how did they go on top of my roof to determine that the roof needs to be fixed? Now, since Inspector Johnson's testimony to that, he's not talking about the top roof, he's just talking about the porch roof. Am I correct? I mean, I guess
The images, well, the images are of the porch, the front of the property and the porch roof, yes.
but not the way that if you would go back and read the way that the violation came through, was like that they were inspected the roof on the property.
Okay.
And I was
The
wondering how
violation
they ended
notice,
up
if you
there.
look at, if you look at if you look at your device, you will see the violation printed. So what is it about that, the way that it's printed that?
Well, it said
is-
roof, and I was wondering
Don't read
how
the
they
whole
got on the
thing,
roof.
to the left there.
I really don't want to take up the board's time any more than I have to. I'm just wondering that the pictures or any type of this photograph wasn't placed into the original, into the documents that was sent.
Sir, we've lost connectivity. I think you're frozen.
We can wait a moment.
Okay. Is there anything we can do to help?
How about now?
Not now, are you
We got-
moving in a vehicle? We don't have any connectivity with you,
I'm
Mr.
in a
Johnson.
bus.
Here he is
Pardon
back.
me? Mr. Johnson,
But I'm stuck.
okay, we've lost audio also. Mr. Johnson? Mr. Johnson?
Is he still on the Zoom?
His image dropped off. Just
I
for
think
a
he may
moment,
have,
everyone.
he may have disconnected. If somebody could confirm that.
Okay, we're gonna check to see if he's been trying to get reconnected via the Zoom process. Okay. Okay, so the appellant has dropped off the call.
We can put this matter on hold until he reconnects.
Okay, well, let's do that. We will temporarily continue this matter until, and move on to our next case and come back to it. Hopefully, Mr. Johnson will reconnect. So if everyone's just a little patient with us, we'll come back to you. Mr. Moto, what else do we have?
Oh, Mr. Johnson's back.
Oh, yes. Oh, Mr. Terry Johnson, please unmute. Please unmute, sir.
I think he has to make the request and then it needs to be approved.
There you go. Mr. Johnson, are you moving in a vehicle?
Yes. I'm in a bus. I'm pulling over.
Are you driving? Sir, we can't hear your case in your moving vehicle.
No.
That's completely and
I'm
totally
stopped.
unacceptable. Listen to me. Are you driving?
No, I am
Sir,
stopped.
look, you're driving.
No,
Listen
I
to
am
me.
not driving.
Listen to me. You were driving
ahead.
and attempted to conduct a formal hearing?
No, I was sitting.
I didn't
since
ask you that. I said,
12:30.
were you driving and trying to conduct a formal hearing?
Oh,
So
no.
you're now pulled over. You weren't pulled over before.
I am pulled over. I'm
Now,
off
but
to
you
the
weren't
side.
that way
I'm in
before.
a
You were
bad
moving
area.
before. Yes.
Yes,
okay.
no, I was not,
That's why we
sir.
lost connectivity. And we should have asked that initially.
I've been-
Because we don't hear cases when individuals are in moving vehicles. Okay. Anything else from anyone?
I don't have anything else, sir.
Okay, Mr. Cohen, you have any final argument?
Just that the
Yeah,
photographs
just one
clearly
moment,
show.
Mr. Cohen.
I'm
Just
sorry.
one moment. Ms. Penn?
I'd like to ask a question of Inspector Johnson concerning the language on the violation notice.
I'll put that back on screen, board member. One moment.
Thank you. Okay. Inspector Johnson, in the third column, as you're reading from left to right, where it says location, it says exterior main roof. So what are you considering? What is considered the main roof by the Department of L&I?
Sir, you're muted.
Inspector?
You're muted.
Is the inspector, could someone please unmute the inspector?
No.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again?
Yes, my question is, what is the department's definition of an exterior main roof, which is the location identified on the violation notice?
I wasn't the inspector to,
I didn't ask you that. I asked you what the department's definition is of an exterior main roof. What portion of a property would be considered the exterior main roof?
the outside roof.
Outside where?
Yes,
Is that the top roof? Is that, I mean, that's pretty vague. Exterior main, what's meant by the main roof?
To me, that would be the outside roof, so the porch roof.
Actually, members of the board, it's been brought to my attention that the initiating inspector, Martin Dean, may be on this call. If the city could call him and maybe he could answer that question.
Yes, if there's no objection, we will call your other witness.
The city calls Inspector Martin Dean. And thank you, Inspector Johnson.
Thank you.
Mr. Dean will have to turn on his video. Yep.
Are you able to see me?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Can you see me now?
Not yet.
Okay. Showing that I'm on. So I'm not sure why it's not showing me, but you can hear me.
Is the board administrator able to send him a request to turn on his video?
Okay, just one moment.
Inspector Dean, is there a slider for your laptop for the camera on the top?
It looks like
Well, if the slider were engaged, then it would show just a black screen, right?
no, it's just the laptop itself, the camera that comes with the laptop.
Looks like the camera is failing to engage.
It may be, it could be that the camera is defective,
Okay. Mr. Cohen, can you confirm?
but it's
that
not
in
showing me.
fact
They
this
can't
is
see
Martin
me.
Dean?
Sorry, board member?
Yes,
Could you
can you
please repeat?
confirm that this is Martin
There's
Dean?
nothing there.
Oh, here we go. Oh, we had it just a second ago.
Oh, did you?
There we go.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Dean, raise your right hand so that you may be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you should give today be the truth to help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Cohen?
Inspector Dean, I'm showing you what's been pre-marked Exhibit A on page 2 in the packet. Is this
Yes.
the notice that you wrote?
Yes, it is.
And the board member's question, board member Penn asked why the location is exterior main roof. Could you
This
please
is for-
explain?
I'm sorry. This is for the exterior top roof of the property.
Okay,
And I'm gonna-
The issue is the exterior top roof, the main roof, not the porch roof.
Well, I'm going to scroll down here to this photograph. Is this what you're talking about when you're talking about the top roof? Or is-
Not at all. Not
Okay.
at all. Those pictures was taken just to identify the property itself. I was unable to access the rear of the property. The actual problem is the main roof in the rear.
Okay. Do you have any photographs that you can send? Never mind, you just said that you couldn't get access to the rear.
Exactly, but we do have a contractor's estimate. She hired her own contractor to go on top of the roof, and he provided us the estimate, which stated that the neighbor's roof at 5325 is currently damaging the property at 5327.
When you say the she in the previous sentence or previous statement, was that the neighbor at 5327
25.
Walnut?
I'm sorry, 27, yes.
Okay.
May-
Board Member Penn, do you have any questions?
I think we all do.
Okay, please go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Dean, the complainant in this instance, is that a resident, is that person a resident in that 5325?
The person who made the complaint resides at 5327.
Okay. Alrighty. And there's causing water damage at 5327?
Yes, 25 is causing
Causing
water damage to 27.
And so that's why you went out and inspected and wrote a violation against the owner of 25?
The owner received that violation because we received a copy of the estimate from the contractor who went up on the roof, who did the inspection and saw the damage.
Okay,
He gave
you
us a
have-
copy of that.
Okay, Mr. Cohen, have you seen that estimate or prepared to introduce that as an exhibit?
Is there a copy saved in Eclipse?
Yes, it's attached to the case.
You'll give me one moment.
Question for Inspector Dean.
Sure.
Do we know if that estimate was ever provided to Mr. Johnson, the owner of the property?
No, I would not have given that to him. That estimate was done by Mrs. Brenda Rivas. She is the person who made the complaint. She got her own contractor to go up there. She provided that estimate to me. So no, he would have just received our notice of violation.
Inspector Dean, I have a question for you, sir.
Sure.
Do you have any evidence of damage of 5327 Walnut Street from 5325?
The evidence that we have comes from the contractor
So,
who went up on the roof and saw the damage. And he
And if it-
provided us this in writing.
And if it
Okay.
pleases the board, I've downloaded that exhibit and I can put it on
Yeah,
screen.
just one
all
moment.
right, thank you.
Go ahead.
My question is, did you physically see, or was there any interior damage to 5327 that you physically did a visual inspection of?
No, there was no violations that I could see from inside the property. That's why they had to give me this in writing from the contractor.
So the department was not able to ascertain any indication that there was damage to 25 from 27?
That's why
Yes.
we asked for the
Mr.
contractor
Contractors,
to
Mr.
give us
Contractor.
that in writing, and he did.
If it pleases the board,
Thank you.
Yes.
No problem.
Yes, sure.
one
Before you,
moment.
Mr. Dean, don't go anywhere because
No, I'm
the,
here.
The appellate may have a question for you.
That's fine.
Well, I was actually going to treat this as a new examination with an opportunity to cross.
Yes.
Inspector Dean, what document is this on screen?
This is the document that we received from the contractor's estimate after he went up on the roof to assess what needed to be repaired by 5325.
And you said that you weren't able to get into the rear to see. Would you, if you were standing in the rear yard, would you be able to see something in the?
This is on the main roof, the top of the roof. So from the ground level, I would not have been able to see what was causing damage to the roof. We have a policy that we don't go up on roofs. So I would not have been able to go up on the roof to see what was actually causing damage.
Now, well, actually, did you, in late December 2023, go to this property and knock on the door or attempt to contact anyone inside?
Yes, I did. The photo that you see is of that property, and I did knock on the door as well, left a business card.
I was going to ask that. Was it like a door hanger type card or just a
No,
card
just
stuck
my
in the-
business card, just my business card stuck in the door.
Did you receive any contact from anyone in the year and a month since?
No, I haven't.
And has the appellant reached out to you or anyone else in LNI, to the best of your knowledge, to
No.
arrange an inspection?
To the best of my knowledge, nobody has reached out to me, anyone else that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Inspector.
No problem.
I would present the inspector for cross-examination, and depending on whether the appellant wants to use this exhibit or the other exhibits, please just let me know. I'll
Yeah,
rotate them
Mr.
out on
Cohen,
screen.
I'd like you if you could scroll through that complete document. We've only seen a portion of the first.
Well,
page.
the rest of the document is blank space. I believe this is the entirety of the document on screen.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you. Let's see, if the appellant,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson, you have any questions for Mr. Dean?
Not, well, what I would like at this point, with,
No, sir,
in light of,
listen to me. I'm asking you, you have to follow instructions. Do you have any questions of Mr. Dean?
no, not at this time.
Okay, all right. You have a moment to present additional information if, in a moment, just for a moment. Mr. Cohen, any additional witnesses or recross?
Nothing further. Thank you very much to both inspectors, and thank you very much, Inspector Dean, for
You're welcome.
coming in and testifying at the last minute.
No problem.
But don't
And I'm
move
good.
yet.
And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but if anyone from
No,
the
leave
board
that
would
up,
like.
please. Leave
Okay,
that up.
never mind.
Mr. Johnson, anything else you want to add?
Well, what I wanted to add in light of all these new circumstances, I would like to ask for a continuance.
What's the basis of your continuance request?
Well, you have two inspectors. One inspector was assigned to it. Then you had the proper inspector come on kind of late. Then this contractor, in which I never got any information from far as causing damage. And I don't believe that the woman next door to me is the owner of the property. I believe it's a man. Because we were out there conversating when there was a problem with the gas line. So the only thing I received from LNI was the notice. I didn't receive there wasn't a card, there wasn't a number, other than just a notice of a violation.
Okay. The mailing address is what? What is the mailing address for you?
My
Well,
mailing address is 7022 Ruskin Lane.
Is that the
Upper
address
Darby,
that's on
PA.
record with the city for that property?
Well, we have already,
The-
that as
the
part of the
address-
record, because the Board of LNI review appeal, which as far as I know was timely, was filed based on a notice
Sent
sent
to
to
my
that
house.
address.
Which
Correct.
address?
Yes, I'm not disputing that at all.
Well,
I'm
that
just
said, the
disputing
city,
that
the city is not opposed to a continuance for the purpose of arranging a reinspection of the roof.
Okay.
That said, I would ask Inspectors
Not
Dean
arranging
or
a
Johnson
reinspection.
exactly how that might proceed if LNI
Mr.
has a
Johnson, you're
policy
speaking
about that.
when Mr. Cohen is speaking. We can't make a record when you do
Okay,
that.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Cohen,
Sorry,
please continue.
Inspectors, is there a way to arrange for a reinspection of that portion of the roof? Does there need to be any safety equipment involved? Does there need to be a ladder or other equipment provided?
Well, I will say this. I am not a contractor. We do not go up on the roofs. If Mr. Johnson would like to get his own contractor to go up on the roof to dispute what we have in writing already, I have no problem with that. I'm no longer the inspector in that area. I
Oh,
believe
no, that's
there's
true.
a new inspector in that area, so he would have to actually speak with that inspector.
Okay. Well, I think continuance, I would like continuance to kind of,
Okay. Before we rule on that, we're going to take a short, go off the record for a few minutes, take a short executive session, and we'll come back. Before we do that, we do have a question from Mr. Pettit.
Inspector Dean, does the LNI use drones? Inspector Roof?
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you.
I think the
Zona
question was,
use
does Zona
drones,
use
Inspector Roof?
drones?
Not that I'm aware of.
No? All right.
I think the board
Okay.
member is giving the city a lot more credit as to the technology it uses than is due.
We're going to go off the record for a
This
few
2000
moments, record, please. Regarding 5325 Walnut Street, there's been a request for a continuance by the appellant, and I don't know if he's back with us or not. I don't see him. Okay, Mr. Terry Johnson, based on your request for continuance and also the city's offer of, the city is not opposed, non-opposition. So we will continue this matter. Mr. Johnson, do whatever you need to do to obtain expert witnesses or whatever regarding the the condition of your roof. And when you rejoin us, either join us in person or in a stationary manner, not in a vehicle. If you are in a vehicle and you're moving, when you come before us again, we will not hear your case. Understood? And he is not responding. He's muted at the moment, please. If someone can unmute him. Okay. Okay, we're having some technical difficulties, so on the record, we've indicated that this matter is continued, and so I'm asking the administrator to communicate that information to the appellant. Thank you. Let's move on to our next matter.
The next matter today, sir, is item number 29, hearing appeal ending 0589, 2501 Germantown Avenue. Kate Osawala is the appellant.
Who's representing the city? Oh. Who's representing the city?
Good
Ms.
afternoon,
Skiles?
Amy
Yeah.
Skiles on behalf of the City of Philadelphia.
Okay, Kate Osawala. Kate Osawala. Anyone present representing or connected to 2501 Germantown Avenue?
Ms. Osawala listed 1301 South 57th Street as her address. Notice of this hearing was sent to that same address on 12/10/24.
All right, thank you very much. Hearing no response, Ms. Skiles, what is your pleasure?
We would ask for a city affirm for failure to appear.
Thank you. Mr. Pincus, what time do you have?
3:27 p.m.
3:27 p.m. We will poll the board on HA 2024-000589, 2501 Germantown Avenue. Kate Osawala, Osuala, city affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Thank you very much. What's the next matter, Mr. Rolo?
That brings us to item 33, sir. Hearing appeal ending 0675 1254 East Pike Street. Irma Rivas.
Okay, who's representing the city? Mr. Cohen, is that yours? Okay. Herma Rivas, Rivas, Herma Rivas. Is that person present? Okay, it is, Mr.
The appellant listed 1254 East Pike Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania 19124. Notice of this hearing was sent to that address on 12/10/24.
Okay. Yes, and there's a person coming to Virginia's iPhone. Ma'am, unmute yourselves and give us your name. Okay, we can't hear you.
Give me just this. There we go. I sent her a prompt now.
Virginia Langley.
Okay, so this matter that we just called is not you. Okay, all right, thank you. We weren't sure if you were the person we were calling.
No, I think I would have had a continuance, but I was just staying on.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Please. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, no response. Mr. Cohen, what is your pleasure?
The city respectfully requests a city affirmed for failure to appear.
Okay, what time do we have, Mr. Pincus?
3:29 PM.
3:29 PM. We will poll the board on HA 2024-000675, 1254 East Pike Street, Herman Rivas, city affirmed, non-appearance.
City affirmed, non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
City affirmed for non-appearance.
Thank you very much,
much.
members of the board. I believe that concludes my business, if I may be
Okay.
excused.
Yes, sir, you excused, and
Thank you.
witnesses are excused as well.
And
Okay.
thank you very much, Inspector Carey. Sorry, Inspector Kelly. Thank
Okay.
you for showing up.
All right, Mr. Waller, do we have any other matters?
Yes, sir. Last item, number 34 on the list, hearing appeal ending 0729 for 5517 North Fifth Street. Tuan Tran and Kiyu Tran. Ms.
Okay.
Tran is right here in the room with us.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Have a seat.
Ma'am, give us your name, please. Pamela Nguyen. So what is your relationship to this property?
Mr. Tuan Tran, he gave me permission to represent him here.
Okay.
He's my husband.
Oh, he's your husband. Okay. And who is Kiyu Tran?
His sister.
And so, actually, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give be the truth so help you God?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Before you continue, Miss Amy Skiles, this is your matter?
Yes, Amy Skiles on behalf of the city.
Okay. Ma'am, what's the ownership? Is there a company that owns this building or this food business?
So the building owned by my husband and his two siblings, Miss Q Tran and Miss Tam Tran. So they rent this property out to Mr. Jared Doran, that who have the daycare.
Okay. Who's the violation written to? Is it written to you?
It's written to my husband and his sister Q Tran.
Okay, just one moment. Let's go off the record for just a moment. Just one moment. Back on the record. Ms. Skiles, based on the comment made by the appellant, it appears that there is a tenant who runs a daycare. Should the violation notice maybe it should have been written against the tenant?
The issue, if we proceeded with the case in chief, there is no rental license issued to this property. So the city's argument would be the owner and the owners alone would be responsible for these violations, as the city has no record of a tenant, has no record of any other responsible party at this at this location.
Okay, understood. Thank you. Now, Ms. Tran, the issue is this, because your husband and his siblings own the building. They have to be here. You can't represent them. Even though you have a letter from them, that's not permitted. You have to have a lawyer. If they can't be here, then an attorney has to do it, not you. Okay, now, is there a language problem? Would we need to have an interpreter here for them?
My husband, he can speak for himself. My two sister-in-law, they may have language barrier.
Okay.
But I can bring this back to him.
Okay.
And then can we schedule for another?
Yeah, we can continue today's hearing and reschedule it. Okay. I just want to check with council. If one of the three owners are here, is that sufficient, or do all three need to be here?
As long as it's one of the two individuals listed as a responsible party on the violation.
Okay, so at least one of the three people need to be present.
So if he does have a license to rent, he should bring that with him?
Yes, he should bring, if whatever records he has regarding who controls the building, bring it with him. Okay, and if you want the other two to come, if they have language barriers, please call the administrator and let them know that we need an interpreter. Okay?
If he can just come by himself?
Yes. Yeah, so we're gonna continue this matter. Ms. Giles, we do have one question for you, from,
Yeah, this is, Board Member Tennant. Ms. Gauss, is there any record indicating that there's a legal daycare operating at this property?
I did, I don't know about state licenses, but I did not see any city issued licenses for a daycare here.
They would both be on file if it was.
Yes.
Okay, all right,
thank you very much.
And if I may just preserve my argument for the next time, the city will be making a timeliness argument. I just didn't want to waive it if I didn't raise it today.
Okay, all right, thank you. We will do that. Okay, thank you.
Just to confirm, will we require the services of interpreter for your husband or no? Okay.
My sister-in-law, I'm not sure if they can come, but can they order it, and then if she's not available, that would be fine. It's probably not that important. Right, they can order it and then let us know.
Sister-in-law can't come, they can go on Zoom.
Okay, I will let them know that.
Okay, picking up a lot of cross currents here. Okay,
We have an issue here about the daycare, the program and issue of.
well, that'll be the part of the city's presentation regarding who's the appropriate party and what the violations are. Okay, all right, thank you very much, and have a good evening. Mr. Rolo, do we have any additional matters?
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for being
Yeah.
so patient.
Thank you. No, he get a notice for the next hearing? All right, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Should I sign it under my name or your name?
Yeah, thank you again.
Any additional cases? That's it? Okay. All righty, thank you very much. That concludes our hearing for today. Everyone have a good evening.